And we're live. Hi, everybody. So it's Lady B, and of course I have AK, and we got Nell. And so we are going to do some tinfoily theories because I just felt like after all that, we could definitely use like some goodness. Like, let's have a good day, a good night. Let's have a fun night. So take this link, share it out around the realm. Make sure everybody knows that we're talking tinfoil and theories and that Professor D is in the building. So we're going to be talking theories like with substance. And we got AK here to defend me.
You have my sword, my lady. You have my sword.
and I believe now you got some theories too. You're gonna drop too, right? Some foil. Like y'all are not gonna just leave me out here by myself, right? AK, are you dropping anything or just
never? I don't know.
You don't know. You're just gonna keep us in suspense.
I'll think up something. But okay. You kick it off because that'll help cultivate my thoughts as well.
All right. So when we had the last theory, like fun time video live that we did, one of the things that came up through all of that was, why did the Iron Bank give the Night's Watch a loan? And that pops up to the top of mind because I know that there were a lot of questions on my channel that were relating back to the Iron Bank, like why that, and Manderley and his coins, and the old mint versus the new mint, and all of that. So the tinfoil theory that I have is all about the Iron Bank. I'm trying to get to the chat here to see everybody. Yeah, and I'm also trying to bait T-Baby also, because there's just so much foil and so much like in this. Like I'm trying to bait T-Baby, 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 where you at?
Yo, real quick. I'm sorry. Can I give a shout out to the pack? My brother Johnny Greenhands is in the room. Shout out to everyone that's in the chat here, hanging with us for some tinfoil. Also, little brother Phantom D Saint, House Lordbridge, Casey, always good to see you. Chrissy of Old Stones, Phil H, Sam R09, and anybody else that comes in. Let's get deep into these weirwood nets and see how far the rabbit hole really does go.
All right,
so let's talk about this damn bank.
Talk about the Iron Bank. Okay, so the Iron Bank is, y'all, if you look at, because we're going to take it back here. The Iron Bank, if you look at their behavior, you come away with the Iron Bank is doing a lot of random things in some random places that really only make sense if they're acting like a bank, like a commercial bank that we have in our world. And so with that in mind, I want you to think about the times that you've seen the Iron Bank in the books. Now, remember, my theories are primarily book-based, so don't think about the freaking show because their depiction of the Iron Bank was ridiculous, and I don't even know. So don't even. Where are you now? Aren't you supposed to be here to troll me now? Like, oh, you hated season 8? Like,
she too busy trolling in the chat. Talk about Candance Mother of the Year. Damn it.
Oh gosh, you and this cat stuff. Like I'm not even listening to the chat. I can't with you. Man. So
it's not my fault.
You said it's not your fault.
It's not my fault. Don't judge me.
Okay, so back to, because I have notes too. So it's great.
Oh, she fancy, y'all.
Well, because this was actually from the theory that we're talking about today is actually from the GNA Part 4, which
sneak previews
posted. I don't think we ever really got. I think we got to half of this, because half of this theory was the theory I used to call Cersei better have my money in Rihanna voice. Like
I remember that.
Yeah, like the Iron Bank was just not playing with her. They were like, Cersei better have my money. You better have my money. Better have my money. And so when you think about the Iron Bank, I want you guys to think about a commercial bank here in our world. And so in general, and this is very simplified. So if you're in banking, don't hop on me. This is very simplified. But in general, banks have 3 phases of debt collection, right? So first, the bank is going to try to collect from you with an internal collector. And this is usually some rank and file person, right, from a call center whose job it is to call you and request that you pay your bill. Pay us, right? And this happens for a while until they escalate to something else. So in today's world, we would call those screen calls because we have caller ID. But they don't have that in Westeros. So they just show up, right? They send ravens back and forth. They show up. Next, the second thing here in our world, the bank generally gets a third party collector, right? Somebody else that's really aggressive and that calls you at dinner time and all that. And then when you refuse to pay, that's when they put it on your credit. And you're like, dang, my credit got dinged. And then the third phase of that collection here in our world is the bank writing off the loan, right? So you have it sitting on your credit for a number of years, whatever, what have you. But at some point, depending on the cycle of this company that you owe, whatever bank that you owe, they decide to write off the loan. They're going to write off the loan, which means that they have decided that your account is a loss. They're washing their hands with you as a customer, and they're selling your debt usually to a debt collector for pennies on a dollar. And they're wanting some of their money back on their investment. That's why they're selling it to the debt collector. So today, that is the part where it goes on your credit and it just sits there, you know, and it just keeps getting updated every few years. And you're like, crap, why does this keep happening to me? It's because it's this third phase of debt collection. So I know you're like, why are you teaching me about debt collection, Lady D? How does this make sense? Well, the point is, in today's world, they get you. The bank gets you. Whatever happens, the bank is always going to get you. Your debt collector is going to get you in some way. You will be harmed in some way, financially, life-wise, whatever, if you don't pay this debt. And that is exactly what happens with the Iron Bank, right? And so even though they've written off the loan, you're still liable for that loan to someone else. In our world, and it's the debt collector. In their world, the question is, well, who's the someone else? Who are you liable to when the Iron Bank writes off your loan? And that's the first question I started with. So I feel like I've been talking for a while. Anybody? Let me check the chat.
To hazard a guess, thinking about that, if they did sell debts, I mean, honestly, Cersei's like double fucked because the Lannisters would be some that would buy up that debt, and even though it's her house, that don't exempt her from, you know, having to deal with that too. Only other person I would think of, well, technically I guess there's 2 other people, but the main one would be that bastard Baelish. And if by chance, just because I read a lot of fan fiction, y'all, and sometimes these folks be coming up with some really, really good shit with these characters and how they tell it in their Song of Ice and Fire fandom universe. If there were some random extracurricular dirty dealings going down, I could see some of the crown's debt being absorbed to Illyrio Mapatis.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Whoever the collection agency is, it would be advantageous for this agency to be within Braavos. In our world, it's okay for a collections agency to not be a part of the entity that you owe. However, in this world, entities, these banking entities are countries, basically. So it is within the country's interest to make sure that that collection agency is within the country. So I do want to put that caveat out there. I feel like I'm leading with the witness, but like, I want you to think about it. Hi, y'all. Hey.
Shout out to the peoples in the chat. OTDA, Chrissy, Sam, Fandom, Dunks Lover, Who else am I missing? Jonnie, Phil. Who else am I missing? I think that's all. That's who I see. There's probably some people
those
in the
are new
background.
ones. Yeah, those are the new ones. But Monero, hold on a sec. I actually missed like the last couple sentences you had said, Lady D. There's a bit of static when you're unmuted, Monero, and it picks up on both microphones, I think. There you go. B, can you repeat that a little bit? Just towards the end, what you were saying.
I don't even know.
Okay, you're saying that it would be better for the entity that would be, you know, the one the crowd would answer to.
Right, like whoever the debt collector is, it would be most advantageous for Braavos if that debt collector was in Braavos. Remember, in this third phase of debt collection, this is when it goes on your credit. So now it's going to the collector, that person that calls you from that 800 number. In that world, there has to be a person that calls you from that 800 number or whatever, whoever that person is. Because at the end of the day, a bank is still a bank and they're going to want some return on their investment. And it would make sense for Braavos to try to keep that money in-house. So
true. See, and that just makes me go scrap everything else I just said. The most viable, I think. And if they do ever end up having to go see somebody, it wouldn't be a thing for them to handle. Would be the House of Black and White.
Ooh, yes, AK, high five.
That would just be my guess, though.
I also support that.
She stole that answer from me because that's what I was gonna say, but I moved myself first.
So I'm reading minds now.
So I
can't get no credit,
Mother Flower, because I had to mute myself so you could answer. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I'm about to go get another beer. I'll be right back.
Okay. I should go to my channel and like tell people we're on somehow. I don't know how I would do that. But
I don't.
So I also think that it is the faceless men who would be this debt collector. And so taking that grain, like I just want to start a conversation here. I could just go through my theory, but I really wanted to start a conversation here. What happens when you are liable to the Iron Bank? They say that new princes pop up, right? You die. That makes sense to me for the debt collector of Braavos to be the faceless men. Nero, I saw you
No, I agree with what AK. Well, yeah, I was gonna say what AK said. I was gonna say the House of Black and White because it would make only sense to me. Because when you read Arya's chapters when she's at the House of Black and White, there was this. I don't remember which chapter this was in, but they were having a meeting, right? And I can't remember exactly what the meeting was about, but they were talking about some things in that meeting. I have to go back and read that chapter, but it would make sense to me because there's a lot of dealings that happened and that go through the Black and White. And if somebody was looking to settle something, like there's some sort of a payment that needs to happen, a lot of times they go through they use the assassins of the Black and White, and to secure their services doesn't come cheap. It costs a lot of money. So they have a lot of collateral. If from to me it makes sense to me that they would have a lot of collateral, because to secure the services of the House of Black and White is going to cost you some money, right? I think they have the dragon egg that Euron told Victorian he had, because I have a feeling that's what he used. That's the payment that he used in order to get a faceless man to kill his brother. So to me, it would make sense if the Iron Bank is gonna have a backer, or they have somebody that's gonna secure their loans. It would make sense to me, at least to me, it would make sense to me that the House of Black and White would be a backer. Another backer that I would presume would also be the Sea Lord of Braavos, because everybody knows that the Sea Lord of Braavos also has investments and stuff. So that would be another person that I would think would also be some sort of a backer. But that's just me thinking out loud. I don't know. I don't do
And
theories.
she tried to yell at me for saying the House of Black and White when she drops an even more fitting gem into the conversation. I see how it is. But actually, let's see. Let me jump over to the chat. Sam just now said, it would make sense as to why they want Arya and Powers. And also, random tidbit popped into my head just now. Let me see if I can remember it in order that I actually thought it. I hate when, thoughts leave your mind that damn quickly. If it is the House of Black and White, one, I've always thought, they have their own ways of getting prophecies or, reading signs and potents and whatnots about that. So let's say they know, obviously, that they've bought, they owned, basically, like they own the rights to this debt that the crown has. If they're playing Savas, which I think the Kindly Man is an expert at doing, he would put Doran Martell to shame playing that game. If they're looking to the future and seeing what is the most likely outcome of where they would have to get in or where they could get in to secure their debts, they're going to send a faceless man potentially to go and find a book at the Citadel that will help them tame the pets of the the children of the most powerful player in the game once she actually fully steps into the game of Westeros. When we saw what was that damn guy's name? Tycho Nevaris, is that what it was? The agent of the House of Black and White that went to Cersei.
Yes, we're going to talk about him. Tycho.
Okay, so he went in person to Cersei. Cersei is just a random human, random chick from for as pretty as Westeros says she is, she's basically like the roundaway girl of the Westerlands. So they can send regular ass Tycho Nevaris to go talk to her. But if all of that shit goes down and she comes up off the throne, if Fagon, I don't think that's actually Aegon, if he gets manhandled and wrestled off the throne, if Euron gets manhandled and wrestled off the throne, because it's the House of Black and White, they can get shit done. I don't care how powerful Euron is. They could definitely take him out if they wanted to. But barring all that, the next person that is going for the throne would be Daenerys Targaryen with her 3 lovely dragons, especially the main one, the alpha of the group, who is probably going to end up being a lot bigger than Balerion the Black Dread. So they wouldn't send just a regular collector to go talk to her. They would send someone that has been even more trained in manipulation and getting in, probably through the back door, cloaked in shadow, and he's gonna go talk to her. And if by chance, Dany does the, big dick Dany swing, talk about fire and blood, and I got dragons, they're gonna have a book that's gonna teach them to counter that. So possibly that would be why Jaqen, or whoever's wearing that face right now, would be trying to sneak in to the Citadel. But that is random tinfoil, and I know I'm reaching in some spots, but that is my fan fiction mind logically putting things together. If you gave me like 3 weeks, I could probably come up with a whole one-shot story about it, but we're not gonna go there. So you were saying something about Tycho though, Black Wildland.
I mean, I support all theories. I'm like, get them out there because we probably never get the book. But on Tycho, what if I told you that yes, I'm on something of the same wavelength with you? What if I told you that they sent a faceless man to Westeros already? They sent a faceless man to the Red Keep, and we know who he is. And he was walking around, and he was right there with Cersei. And I can tell you this because Tycho Nestoris is actually the debt collector. Now I'm gonna walk you backwards and try to prove this to you guys. Remember, because this is foil, but Tycho is the debt collector. There were actually, if you guys can remember in the book, there were 2 other collectors from the Iron Bank that came to Westeros before Tycho. Do you remember that?
No, I do not, but please continue. This is intriguing.
There is one unnamed moneylender, another named Noho Demitis, and then Tycho Nestoris. So there are actually 3 representatives from the Iron Bank that have been sent. Now remember that real life 3 phases of debt collection. If Tycho is the 3rd phase, he's the collector. He should be actually the 3rd or 4th phase because they would have been receiving letters. So he is the debt collector, I think, in this tinfoil theory. So, I mean, wait, do you want more? Like, what do I do here?
I can feel that. I can feel that. There's so many roads that could be traveled. You know, it's all like, you know, Terminator. You know, the future is not set. Prophecy is not always a good thing. You know, we know what George says about prophecy, and I'm not going to say it because I'm gonna just have y'all go back and read it because I don't even want to think about that image in my brain right now. So
hilarious what it is. Okay.
I would. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, I was about to say, in line of what you were saying, and I was just thinking out loud when you're talking about debt collectors. I'm sure that the Iron Bank has a pulse about what's going on in Westeros at all times, as well as the House of Black and White, right? And I'm sure that there are probably some people, for example, Ilio Mopatis, and then you have what's his face, Varys, who are also manipulating things. So I'm sure that the Iron Bank has a pulse about what's going on in Essos and in Braavos. At the end of the day, they got to get their money. They got to collect their money. And so it's if I remember from reading the books, my perception, my understanding of how they work is they tend to back the person who they feel will will pay them their money or give them their money or is more financially advantageous to them. And because of, if they have a pulse of what's going on, while by the time that Tychos is up north, Fagon has already landed into is already in Stormlands. So I'm sure that they also know that. So even though, Tychos is north and I believe he has a conversation with Stannis, I'm sure that the Iron Bank also knows that Fagon has landed into the Stormlands and has the Golden Company. So I'm thinking that probably they might send a representative also to his camp in order to see about collecting debt. Or they probably may think that they have a better chance of collecting their debt with Fagon, because Daenerys, for the most part, is considered MIA. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. Like I said, I don't do theory.
No, that's some valid points though. That is absolutely valid, and I like that. I know DA was saying in the chat that, the House of Black and White is one of the most interesting parts of the story. Like, it moves slowly behind the scenes, as they, it's fitting that way because they always tend to work in the shadows best. But and he said, there's a lot to take in their little snippets, and there really is, and they are extremely fascinating. Like, they put Assassin's Creed to shame, in my opinion. But yeah, B, what else you got?
I love the House of Black and White too. So that's what kind of led me down this hole. Now to your point of them wanting someone to take on the debt, I disagree slightly, and it's because of the 3 phases of debt collection that we have here in Arlo. Once you get to that 3rd phase, you write off the debt. I think that they wrote off the debt. So they're not trying to collect anymore. They've written it off and sold it to someone else. And that selling is what gives them a small return on their investment into the previous loan. Now, the evidence that I have for this, I'd have to take you through a whole lot of stuff, but just really quickly off the top of my head, so we don't have to go through all that crap, is the fact that they were calling in loans from all over Westeros. At one time, they called in every merchant loan, every person with a small business, whatever. And these people came to Cersei and they were complaining like, yo, the Iron Bank called in all of the loans in Westeros, like all of them, like not even like some, all of them, like the whole thing. It's horrible. Help us out. Like Strong Lannister helped me out. And she was like, I guess you guys should probably pay them because, we have it and, Iron Bank's going to get his due and whatnot. So people are like in economic ruin right now in Westeros because the Iron Bank has called in all these loans. Not to mention, we do see those 3 ships, the Cog, the whatever, at numerous places in Westeros that we can sort of track and say, oh, they were here. Oh, they were here. Not only were they calling in loans, but they were doing something else. And my evidence for that is, in the event that it was just calling in loans, they would have done what they did to call in loans across Westeros, which was by ravens, right? And by notice, they didn't go to every single person that owed money and asked for the money. No, but they sent Tycho and 2 other people. They sent 3 people total to the Iron Throne. And then they sent Tycho all around Westeros on a circuit that is really quite interesting. And so I think that they're done with necessarily trying to get all of their money back, even though they signed that contract with Stannis where they're like, yeah, you're going to give us all the money back that the Baratheon boy won and whatever would use or whatnot and whatever would have you. And yeah, thanks. We'll also loan you the money for your soldiers that we know that you can't get because we know the Golden Company has broken its contract and we know that Listermere are embroiled in the war. Like, we know all of these things because they do know all of these things. So yeah, we'll give you a little bit of cash that you won't even be able to spend. And you just make sure that you pay back the Iron Throne's debt. But that still doesn't answer the question, which is how I started this the stream with is, well, why did they loan the money to Jon? If they asked for money back from all over, why did they loan the money to Jon? Why not send Braavos to fight? Why not try to purchase the Golden Company yourself with the gold? Why not try to purchase the Second Sons? Why not try to purchase any of the sellsword companies, even though they're all embroiled in fighting? You know, John's not going to have any better luck at it than you guys would. You're the freaking Iron Bank. Why not send the Faceless Men or some sort of contingent of them to try to help, if that's the case, to try to help train all of these untrained wildlings and people that you know about because of the two ships. You have to remember the two ships full of wildlings that ended up in Braavos. So they're fully aware of the situation in Westeros, of course. Don't get it twisted. But that still doesn't explain why they would give John a blank check. At the end of the day, you are still a bank.
Unless they have somebody in the BWB or near Lady Stoneheart or somewhere that probably, or they have somehow gotten info of who John truly is and what his true lineage is, and are just in their mind, they're backing the true, who they believe to be the true king of Westeros.
Yes.
That hits well too. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how would they get this information? Remember, Tycho was traveling all around Westeros needlessly. The only reason you're going to send a person as high up as Tycho Stores in the Iron Bank out is to collect debt royally. This is somebody that you sent to the royals for debt collection. So he's not going to be somebody that's just out there willy-nilly, wasting time on the Iron Bank's dime. As a matter of fact, every time we see Tycho, he's moving quite expeditiously and with a purpose. And so, in a nutshell, I think I have a paragraph that kind of sums it out. By now, from the conversation that we've all had and from these notes here, you guys, a lot of you may be able to accept that the Iron Bank of Braavos is actually acting as a regular bank and is concerned with the attempted collection of debt from the Iron Throne. So we kind of outlined the 3 phases of debt collection, and I will do a video on this and put it on my channel so that we'll have more detail here, but you get it, 3 phases of debt collection. They sent Tycho at the end. He has to be the person that the debt is owed to. And if it follows our theory where we're saying, oh, the debt is owed to the faceless men, then that means that Tychonosaurus is a faceless man. So how would we prove this, right? I'm not going to go through all of that, but the Iron Bank's reps' whereabouts in Westeros up to Tycho's arrival and at the wall give you some evidence to what was going on. They were primarily in King's Landing, and then all of a sudden, the Iron Bankers made some other stops. Well, Tycho made some other stops. One that we definitely know about is White Harbor. And we know that he actually stopped in White Harbor before going to King's Landing and writing off Lannister rule. I can prove that with the timeline of the bank, with the timeline from the story. So if we look at it chronologically, when Tycho would have arrived in White Harbor versus when he went to King's Landing at the last time, you'll note that it seems that he had a parlay with Wyman Manderley, made a loop, came back down to King's Landing, wrote off Lannister rule, and then went straight up to John.
I am here for that tinfoil.
For all of the cereal. I know that.
Yeah, it's like all, see, that damn Stark blood is a hot commodity. Granted, where the Iron Bank is concerned, it's not his Stark side that they're interested in. Although,
yes, it is.
Yeah, there's it's a hot commodity. They, I've always said they wanted Arya before she even left the North, and in my opinion, I think they already had eyes on her.
Do you see, Nara? I can't.
Dude, I have been trying to ignore. And Phil, you are not helping, Phil. We used to be cool, man. Why are you co-signing to this nonsense?
This is good.
Really? We gonna do this tonight? Oh my goodness, the shade of it all. The shade. But yeah, I like where that whole thing is going. I really do. It's there's so many different points, and I almost want to say, granted, Tycho, let's say maybe he was trying to cover his tracks because he's there with the face of a bank collector. So if the bank collector doesn't go around and try to collect debts,
he doesn't need to.
No, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't need to.
And
but perhaps it looks suspicious.
They collected debt from all of the other merchants, and they did not send debt collector. So Tycho is not just a debt collector. That's what I'm trying to drive home. Everybody else,
what I was getting to was I say he's doing that to maybe just try to keep some semblance of a cover, but perhaps he's looking for something or possibly someone in these stops that he's making. I don't know. It's a random reach, but it just seems like, faceless men don't do shit just to do shit. Like I said, there's always been a reason that Jackin ended up in the black cells. Faceless men don't get caught and jailed. When have we ever heard of any faceless man put in chains and locked in a cage? And mind you, he could have very easily escaped on his own. He didn't have to have Arya bring him that axe to break the damn cage for him, Rourge, and Biter to get out. That was some fuck shit. He wanted to ingratiate himself to Arya. He was only in that damn cage with the damn caravan in the black cells to be recruited to get to Arya.
Sarah, why are you like
a charm?
Why is she like this? AK, why is she like this? Why are you like this?
Catelyn's the real MVP. Obligatory hashtag fuck Catelyn Tully. This is a Luke Cage season 2 situation. It's not Mariah. What is it? Dillard's? No, it's Stokes. Mariah Stokes. Catelyn is not a damn wolf, and she could have been. She could have been, but 5 damn kids of the North with exceptional magic blood in their veins. You're raising these children as well, but you can't. Exactly. She's got the magic blood too. And another thing that pisses me off in that very first part where they're talking in the Godswood, and Ned is sharpening, cleaning the sword and whatnots. She comes up and they have a random little chat. Ned says, I might have to go beyond the wall, deal with Mance Rayder. Catelyn's response is, oh, there are far worse things to deal with than Mance Rayder north of the wall. Bitch, you fucking know, but you are still on this nonsense. You should have been trying to help to actually, bring about this knowledge that might have been forgotten. Catelyn's not stupid. As much as I don't like her for all the ridiculousness that she is, she's not a stupid woman, but she is what she is a Southern woman, and they just be on that fuck shit life. If there was a reality show of like Real Housewives of Westeros, Catelyn, and or Cersei would both be Nene. They would both be motherfucking Nene.
No.
Or one be Nene and the other one be Phaedra.
Sorry, listen, I gotta hold it down for T Baby, so don't hate on me.
I mean, you did a great job. I tried to date her. She's not coming. I don't know. She's not coming. I tried. I threw out great foil, I think. She was just like,
she might be asleep though. Honestly.
Yeah, she had a bit of a long day.
But yeah, that's random, Catelyn Monero troll nonsense aside. It when it comes to John and that damn Iron Bank, and honestly, this isn't anything that I've thought of until you brought it up, B. And it's very, very interesting. There's so many little tidbits that I wonder about every now and then, but then I scrap them because it doesn't seem like they might be, very fitting for the story. But then I think about it later, and I'm like, like I can't guess George's mind, but I can guess all of the random connections that I can make happen as a fan fiction writer in my mind. I could see how a lot of this shit would tie together. Now, if any of y'all go to my page on my fan fiction, there's one story in particular where I think I tied in like 10, 15 different TV show fandoms with their characters, and it's not a reach to see where things could come together. And this whole thing is making me think about all the tunnels that are under Westeros, and arguably, Tinfoil, also those tunnels that might be under the House of Black and White. Because if you remember, there is a time when I can't remember if it's the waif or the kindly man, but they're leading Arya downstairs, and as far down as they get, Arya is taking notice, like, we have to be so deep in the earth that we're below sea level now. What are the odds of there being an underwater tunnel connecting the House of Black and White to possibly an old Children of the Forest stronghold tunnel for them to be able to network through Westeros? Not that they would need to do that in our time of age in the story, but these tunnels have been there for a while. So who the fuck built them and why? Go ahead, Monero.
I was about to say, I probably would agree that probably that may have happened before the breaking of before the Children of the Forest broke the Stepstones, that there probably was a connection. But I think that connection probably got lost. I mean, that system or that connection probably got lost because I'm not very well versed on the Stepstones themselves, but I would imagine when they were broken enough where I think the last time anything major happened at the Stepstones was when they had the Nine Penny King, the Battle of the Nine Penny Kings. And so though there's no way to actually cross those without, I mean, they're broken, so there's not a real connection. And I don't know what the depth of those stepstones were, because if there was some sort of a connection, I would think that it would run underneath the stepstones. And if the stepstones are broken, that connection would no longer exist for them to be able to tunnel through. In order to, unless there is a way that they could come, but Tarth is like a way off. You have to go to a ship to get to Tarth. You can't, it's not like you could. Tarth is like a whole little island.
There's a random magical place, I guess, that it could be. I'm trying to think of the map in my head. What if it wasn't, under the stepstones, but it connected somehow to the maze that is underneath that the fused black stone tower that the high tower sits on? I don't think they would necessarily have to use anything under the stepstones to do it. I think it's the House of Black and White is vast enough, or even powerful enough to be able to have different connections. If one connection gets broken, let's say it was like the stepstones, like you said, that was busted up, I think they would have another means to get in. But speaking of the stepstones, that just made me think, though, Dorne, is quite a bit of desert, and I can't help but think that the reason for that being is also because of magic, or some type of magic. Just like there's a year's worth of any particular season. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
I think George needs to give us a goddamn book. That's what I think. I gotta be honest with you, because I think it could have been burnt by dragon flame as well. Like, hey, go ahead now. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Monroe.
Somebody just brought up Christy, I think, brought up a good point about the underground tunnels when she's getting ready to go meet with the Griffin in her Winds of Winter chapter, because by that time they had already taken the Stormland, and I mean they had already taken the Stormland, I believe, at that time, and they had already taken Griffin's Roost and most of the other little islands. But I don't know. I don't know. That is kind of, because where they're located, it seems a little bit too far off. It's like all the way on the other side.
Yeah, you're
close
right.
That would be for them for that to, I mean, that's like all the way down. That's like south. That's like Crownland territory, which is south.
Yeah, let me pull the map up real quick so I can see where I'm at, because Braavos is, let's see.
Braavos is actually
they're north in the Shivering Sea. So you're right. It wouldn't be Old Town, but they would be close enough to get to the neck. Now, like B said, Tycho went to White Harbor first before moving south, and that is pretty much up there, hop, skip, and a jump away from Braavos. So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting to think about. I don't know. These tunnels are just like always in my head sometimes. Monero said, not Monero. Sam says, can I show the map? Yeah. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me make that bigger. And Monero, I'm going to share my screen, but I think you have to put it.
Okay, hold on.
In the stream there.
Like that?
Not showing up yet.
Oh, hold on.
There it is.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can see my mouse, Braavos is right here on the very tip of Essos over here by the Shivering Sea. To go to White Harbor, you just have to travel over here through the Three Sisters, get to White Harbor, and then sail back out and get all the way down to the Crown Lands and King's Landing, which is right here.
See, so that's my point. You see how far that is?
You're right. That's very far. But the neck is also a, quote unquote magical place. And I'm pretty sure there's something up with Moat Cailin too. I don't think I can articulate it well enough right now, but there's something up with Moat Cailin and why they keep it the way they do. But it's interesting to think about of why all these damn tunnels are there And it's, we know it's under a high tower. Let's see, where is Old Town? This is King's Landing here. There's the Isle of Faces. There's Highgarden and Hornhill. Somehow. Damn, I can't find it. Y'all help me out. Where the hell is Old Town right now?
Old Town would be is right there. Like if you I don't have a mouse, but it's where you see where the Sunset Sea is. Old Town is
that's right.
On that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right here. Basically just past the heel of Dorne over here. So yeah, I do agree. Now looking at it, that is too far. Although even with that, let's say he came from Braavos, there's something over here that he could get into up north and then travel south through those old networks. And I'm pretty sure that it was the Children of the Forest that made them. But there is also that myth about the maze that's by the high tower that was made by, was it the Lorathi maze makers or something like that?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't recall that.
I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure there's some type of maze that they credit to the old school maze makers that's around the high tower. So I don't know, really just all these tunnels.
Could very well be, because remember, I think Bran the Builder had something to do with them building the
high tower.
Yeah, so yeah. there could be. I would have to go back and read the World Book of Ice and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about the high towers. I would have to go back and read.
There is, if I am remembering correctly, there's and there's a lot of history and fantasy that is pulled in, that George pulled in for this story. I do believe there was like an was it Uther High Tower, and he was known as like the Dragon Slayer. So because of that lets history know that dragons were in Westeros long before the Targaryens were even a thought.
What?
I gotta go look that up. But it's a parallel to King Arthur because this guy like that killed all the dragons that was around that area. His name's Uther. So and then we have Uther Pendragon, and Arthur, Sword in the Stone. Arthur is like his bastard son or something like that.
Right.
So it's just interesting to think about. Like this is one of the things that's always been my favorite about the story. I like how the current times are going, but I am far more invested in the histories of all these families and like the history and lores that they put out for each season for the background of a lot of the main families. It fascinates me. So little tidbits like that really make me want to look into stuff. And I've been slightly building a Westeros, world in my fan fiction head. And one plot point that I think would be key and just fun to play with is if, Ned actually tried to make some type of peace I guess peace is the right word, or build some type of accord with Mance to come into the north without all the random bloodshed. Mind you, it's not going to be an easy feat because Ned very well might face some rebellions because of doing that. But I find it interesting to explore. And one of the things that I was thinking of doing is we have the King's Road in the actual story. I was thinking of building something called, and it's really cheesy, but called the Ice Road. And it would be a connection of like Ned going and finding a lot of these underground tunnels and connecting them and making that an easier way for anyone trading north or south to get past the twins without having to deal with Walter Frey's dumbass. Something that's under construction, you know, that it's neither here nor there, but that's just some of the random stupid tinfoil that goes through my head sometimes.
But it makes I can dig that. But I think the one way to convince Ned is that Ned would have to experience what would be going on. There would have to be a way for them to get Ned past the wall to see what's actually taking place in order for him to kind of get on board with having the wildlings come. Like if you were to have if Jeor Mormont was actually alive, and would have had an actual true heart-to-heart conversation with Ned about what's actually happening, I think Ned would, and then he would, you know, take Ned out to actually see it for himself. Ned would have been like, okay, I get it. I think he would have been on the same line as what John is now. Like,
Agreed.
Okay, we need to get these people on the other side and figure out what we're going to do to strengthen the wall, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think he would have done that, but, you know.
Agreed. And that's exactly where my mind was going when I was coming up with, you know, some of the economics and logistics of this happening. You know, he would basically take the place of John. With it happening so early in the story, I think he would be able to save a lot more than John did. And it's not like the North doesn't have the space for them. The whole of Westeros below the neck fits into the North. So they could do it, you know, and I know that they're always about, you know, not being a kneeler and blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's give Ned a bit more common sense than he had before. And he comes up with the situation that says, okay, look, you ain't got to worry about Robert. They don't really even come up to the North and fuck with us like that. Make your accord with me and we'll make it happen. These will be the rules. I don't need you to kneel to me, but you have to follow these rules. And in that way, I will help you here. And it wouldn't just be all of the damn wildlings coming south of the wall. I would do it to where, you know, some supplies would be able to be gathered. Ned might have to go to the Iron Bank and procure a loan, or possibly find an untapped resource to make a profit over that is currently in abundance in the North, particularly north of the wall. And with, you know, the money he would make from that, he would be able to fix up some of those old castles along the wall and say, if you're going to come down, you know, this fight is happening. No matter how far south you go, it could still touch you. So take this handful of people, take this castle, fix it up. I'll send you supplies, and you're in charge of that part of the wall to at the very least be a lookout. It's, you know, it's random and it's extra, but, you know, my fan fiction brain does stuff. And damn it, AU, I don't need you to keep co-signing to this damn dragon bottom. Stop it. That is not what we're talking about tonight.
Dragon bottom, dragon bottom, dragon bottom, dragon bottom.
Bottom. No, with the bottom. I'm gonna be sitting here quiet, like, oh, heaven help us.
Yes, heaven help us. Okay, Black Wildling. You know, I have put out my random fan fiction tinfoil. So what else you got? Come on now.
I mean, I done gave y'all the foil. Like, I'm actually kind of pumped over the Iron Bank thing. I was like, dang, I might go live on the channel and just read it instead of doing a freaking video. I might do that tomorrow because I guess it's late now. But yeah, I don't have any, like, what else? I don't know. Does anybody have any questions? Was anybody in the last one? Do you have any questions?
You know what? I wonder if, you know, this is something that I've actually been kind of curious about, and it probably doesn't make any difference to anybody, only to me, because, you know, it's me. I'm wondering if Bran is going to have a vision or go back into the weirdness, back to the point to when Ned had a conversation with Garrett to hear what Garrett told him before he cut his head off.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes, yes. That I actually forgot about that. I'm going to put a pin in that and incorporate that into the story. Yes, because that could have been the catalyst for him.
Remember what he says to Catelyn, right? He said he talked to him, but he felt like he couldn't reach him.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that thought. That is very freaking fitting. And let's say Ned doesn't just go all willy-nilly to the wall to see what's going down. He hears this shit from Garrett. He decides to, at the very least, stay his execution for a while, and he goes and investigates with the contingency of some of his other most trusted northern vassals, and they actually fully see the shit firsthand, with like going on a range with like JR or Benjen, and see how that goes. That would be very interesting to explore. I like that. And what's Phil saying here? How much of a connection do the Umbers and Last Hearth have to the Wildlings? The Umbers, for the longest time, were still practicing that first Knights rite. And I'm pretty sure that, it probably not in the present day of the story, but back in the day when, the Black Gate was still heavily in use at the Night Fort, they were probably shipping some bastard boys and sacrificing them to the others as well. The Umbers might be loyal and whatnots, and everybody loves the Great John. He cool as shit. But just like the Starks, I always say, I love the Starks, but their hands ain't all clean either. Everybody's got blood. Everyone's ledger has red dripping out of that shit. So it's interesting. I don't know. What do you ladies think about that point, though?
Nara, do you want to go? Because mine is kind of long.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, this one is for Phil. I think, and this is just all the foil, right? But this is my theory, and it's like from things I've researched over years, and it's actually a part of the GNA too. And I've actually started to see it pop up on Reddit like a couple years ago, but it didn't go as far as I did. So I'm like, I'm probably on a thin line here. That must not be a lot of people thinking about this one. But Rowan Umber was taken by the Wildlings, right? I think that Mance Rayder gave her back. Yeah. And my evidence for that is
I had to walk back from the stairs. Explain yourself right now. I like it, but I need more information.
Rowan Umber, can you share? Can you screen share again? AK, can you pull up a picture of Rowan Umber, or go to the Ice and Fire wiki and read like what it says about Rowan Umber?
Hold on. Let me Google that real quick. Rowan Umber. I don't know if there's any images of her. No, there's only some fan art that I'm seeing. There is a thread that came up from Reddit, but it doesn't really, it's not showing like the whole thing. I wouldn't be able to screen share it effectively, is what I'm saying.
All right. So the context of this is, and I was trying to find the dang text in A Search of Ice and Fire so I could find it in the book for you guys. But here goes, Phil, right? A long time ago, Rowan Umber, I believe she might be Crowfood's daughter, actually. She was abducted by the Wildlings. Does everybody remember that? Anybody? No? You guys?
I don't remember that.
She was abducted by Wildlings. We find that out, I believe, in the first book. So if there's a wiki of Ice and Fire mention of her, that should be there. So she gets abducted by the wildlings. It's one of those passion mention things, and we don't hear anything else. But then in Winterfell, on that kamikaze mission to Winterfell, that Mance Rayder is in with those 6 spear wives, those suspicious spear wives, because he said he was going to get ugly spear wives and he didn't. He got young ones, fertile ones, all type of stuff. One's actually an archer. We can just go on and on and on. But all these women are useful for something. And I just gotta say, if Mance Rayder, who you could blame for the kidnapping of your daughter, showed up at your hall, because that's where he went, right, to Last Hearth, what would you do with him? Certainly you wouldn't send him to White Harbor. You probably want his head. As a matter of fact, the Umbers requested his skull to drink from. Does anybody remember that one?
Yes, I remember that.
All right. So this fool shows up to your house, to your hall, like, hey, Stannis sent me? No, he's going to have to come with something better than that. So the thought process is, well, what did Mance talk to the Umbers about or do with the Umbers or whatever in order to get passage to White Harbor? Because they would have had to help him with that. How else did he get to White Harbor? He had to take a ship. The time is just, he had to. So, okay, in thinking down that vein, well, what could have possibly happened? My thought is that he brought back Rowan Umber. I think that that's the only thing that you could have possibly done for the Umbers, like the Umbers, for the Umbers not to just rip your head off as soon as they saw you and your little wildling contingent, is if you brought back Rowan Umber. And the evidence for this is that in the chapters where we see Mance and his spear wives in that Theon chapter, there is one spear wife that hems Theon up with a knife, puts him up against that weirwood tree, and tells him that he has no right to talk about Lord Eddard that way. Do you guys remember that from the book?
I do not. Please continue.
I remember that.
I'm searching.
Because Theon was thinking about killing her. When she turned her back, I think.
So she was like, yeah, he was like, so she said, how dare you, you don't have any right to call him that or whatever. How dare you talk about Lord Stalker, Lord Eddard that way, right? Y'all have never heard a wildling call
anyone
Lord
fucking
Stark
Lord
by their first name, Lord Eddard. You have never heard that. You might hear the Lord Stark and Winterfell, the Stark and Winterfell, all that stuff in the wildling, but you are not going to hear anybody say Lord Eddard.
This is the shit I'll be talking about when B gets on that tinfoil, boy.
So that means she knows him as Lord Eddard, and you would know him as Lord Eddard if you were a subject of Lord Eddard, especially if you were highborn. People say my lord.
Right, she said my lord.
Lord Eddard.
I'm here for this.
In her speech that lend, and they don't say what her name is, but the way they described her being chunky, I believe redheaded as well, but being chunky like that, and I'm thinking, you know, she's clearly from the north, y'all. She's somebody that got taken. Maybe she's an Umber grandchild. Maybe it's not Rowan, but her daughter, whatever. But I'm thinking Mance would have had to come up and with some sort of peace offering not to get killed on sight, number one, and number two, Lord Eddard. You got to be kidding me. This ain't no wildling. Who is chicken? He's not a wildling.
That is automatically written into my headcanon now. That is a freaking fact. Okay, wait. Plexi just put up a quote. Rowan gave him a hard look. You have no right to mouth Lord Eddard's words. Not you, not ever, after what you did. To Theon saying, winter is coming.
Thank you, Lexi.
Ain't no wildling gonna repeat motherfucking house words.
Ain't no wildling gonna say Lord Eddard.
No, exactly.
Believe.
The damn Northern clans don't even say Lord Eddard. I am here for that.
They call him the Ned.
Yes, the Ned.
Dude.
I love it. Yes, thank you for putting that up there, Plexi. I love it.
So that is actually in the GNA part 5 when we start talking about Stannis and how he knows all types of everything because he knows everything. This is a sneaky Stannis. So, yeah.
I like it. Monero, can you put Phil's question back up there, please? Let me scroll up, see if I can find it. Oh, wait, or is that what you just were talking about, Lady D? How much of a connection do the Umbers?
That was the connection. The Umbers in the last verse.
Okay, so I believe the next question I saw was from Sam. And she said, Lady Diligence, what do you think about the wildlings in Braavos and Essos?
Actually, the next question was from A.U. Packing.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, my bad.
What would happen to Dany if she was separated from Viserys and wasn't told who she was?
Ooh, that's a big plot point
in a whorehouse. She's a girl. She's a pretty girl. She'd have been a pretty little girl all by herself with long silver hair. She would have been sold to a whorehouse.
Sad but true. No, you're right. I mean, it's Essos. Essos is freaking cutthroat like that. Sad but true. In one of my random, drunken thoughts on fan fiction, I actually had Dany running away and somehow finding herself at the House of Black and White and being trained from a young age. I don't know how that would happen or what would even trigger that, but it's something that popped into my head one night and I was like, okay, that might be interesting.
I would think that would be really cool if she did, because she'd have a dragon.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing that because I think the cool thing about Braavosi, and I mean George is no idiot and he's a student of history, right? But I think the cool thing about the Braavosi, this is like not working now. Okay. So I think the cool thing about the Braavosi is that they are all the descendants of slaves.
Mm-hmm.
They're all the descendants of slaves. So they might be like, and because they still are on some dragons destroy the world stuff, they might be like, we wouldn't want to train no damn dragon to be a faceless man. No, thank you. You come around here, we might just slit your throat, girl. You could be hatching dragons and take over and start enslaving people again for all we know. No,
sidebar though. No. What if they had a Timon moment? What if they had a Timon moment? Girl, in the Lion King, when Simba ran away, he was found by Timon and Pumbaa. Pumbaa wanted to get the fuck out because hello, scary ass lion that eats us. But then he said, you know what? Well, he's just a baby. What if we can train him to be on our side? What if they can train him?
Right? Is that dragon does not that dragon is not capable of hatching flying mega dragons. Right.
Yeah. There definitely have to be other things that come into play that would get Dany to the eggs to hatching. I know that. And that's been a thought in my head and not actually written upon the page or Word document. It just seems like it would be interesting to explore because Dany's already anti-slavery and trying to help like all of the people. She wouldn't be that hard to shape and mold into what they might need. Hence why again they were also looking for Arya as a child, 9 years old, this little girl is pledged to the House of Black and White, being trained to live her best Assassin's Creed life.
I'm here for it. I hope.
I just think it's doable. It's there's a lot of moving parts that I would have to seriously sit and think about and map out. But I think it could be done, and I think it would make for a really, really interesting take on Dany actually getting to that world. And it also, fuels my love of Femslash and all stories that put Dany and Arya in a marriage. So there's that.
He's like, shameless plug.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Here's my reasoning for this.
Right. And y'all know, when I write characters, especially as of late when I'm talking about stuff, I tend to favor the Alpha Omega Beta universe in fan fiction. And for those of y'all that don't know what that is, it's basically, humans have it's not that they've taken on these animalistic traits, but that's just how they were made from the beginning on Earth. So, Omegas are key. They usually have the most pups and the best and strongest pups, whether that pup be born as an alpha or Omega or beta. Betas make the best soldiers. Alphas usually make the best leaders. And there's, a lot of gender fluidity that can be added to those types of universes. So I'll be standing Dany and Arya. It's my one true pairing. Fight me. I don't care.
What about that dragon bottom though?
I have already made a side note. If I do write that story out, that fucking Drogo and Ned will be in it.
Sam has a question.
Yes, what was Sam's question?
What do you think about the wildlings and Braavos and Essos?
Are there wildlings and Braavos and Essos, or is that just the way them motherfuckers live?
No, they're there. It's there's
there is. There is
boatloads of them that would have been,
because she sees them actually. Arya sees them.
Wait, aren't these the people that were like stolen from Hardhome or whatnot and brought to be sold as slaves?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and they got the ships and they took the one of those ships. There were three, I believe. One did, but two boatloads of them are in Braavos, and then there's one that should be making its way, maybe even the slaver's day, who knows, right now. So they'd be in Essos somewhere. No.
I think in one of Arya's chapters there is mention of those slaves of the wildlings. I think
there is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering, would they even factor in as anything relevant though for the story? And shout out Alan Vanderson, Cookie Monster is in the spot. I don't know. I'm not sure that I can effectively give a full thought on that, because I don't think that it would be very significant for the wildlings being over there. They're going to be sold to the highest bidder at any given point in time. It might be that maybe a few of them could escape and somehow find themselves back in Westeros, or at least run away far enough from Braavos to get away. But what would it serve to the narrative is my question.
Unless it's just one of those like it's a distraction, because the real situation that needs to be paid attention to is the letter that Jon gets from, is it Cotter Pike, about dead things in the water, and then he's trying to do ranging, and there was I don't know if Jon and the people at the wall knows that I can't remember if they know that those wildlings got on a ship and were taken to Braavos. I can't remember if he knows that, because he talks about in John's mind or in his own internal thoughts, he's thinking about the people in Hardhome and them not becoming whites and stuff like that, or falling to the others. So I can't remember. I have to go back and read. I can't remember if he knows or if the people at the wall know. I'm sure Tychos knows.
I would agree with that. I think he does too.
I think they know because I think that like someone talks about how the people followed Mother Mole and got on ships or whatever. So maybe they didn't all go or something like that, but I think they know. And to Sam's point, because she went ahead and said it, and to your point, AK, what would it do for the story? They could be telling everybody about what the fuck is going on beyond the wall. Like they could be telling everyone in Braavos right now, like, yeah, yeah,
indeed. And you know, there are people in Essos that, you know, they specialize in the knowing of things. A rumor like that gets started from some slaves, and you know, in Essos, if you look back through it, there's a lot of things that, you know, really start with the slave trade. I mean, Braavos itself was started because of the slave trade and escaped slaves. So it wouldn't be hard. And gossip always travels fast from harbor to harbor. You know, a couple hundred people spouting the same thing. That, I mean, not that I'm condoning them being sold into slavery, but on the real, dealing with what they had to beyond the wall, some of them might have been glad to just be the fuck away from there. I know that sounds fucked up. I don't mean it to sound fucked up, but you got to think about it. There's fucking ice zombies coming to get us. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I would rather be the hell all
but the
the way.
people of R'hllor, like the worshippers of R'hllor, would.
It's weird. I know, but when you having to deal with all of that extracurricular shit, and really, and they're wildlings, they not gonna know the lay of that land at all. But they don't do well following rules that they did not make themselves. And that place on Essos honestly is busy enough to where if they watched where the hell they were going or just had any semblance of self-preservation, which every wildling I think is born with, they're going to run the fuck away and know how to stay hidden like naturally to get out of that shit.
I don't know, man. Like,
so
I'm fighting the ice zombie over slavery. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
I'm staying.
You are totally right. You are totally right. You're totally right. You know, no, there's no fight to be had. I get it. I know, and I agree because that is not a viable solution to get away from any problem.
I'm not about to be at the belly of a ship, yo, tied up with my baby, talking about, well, I guess there's no ice zombies. Fuck that. Why we get out of here? What's no ice zombies? Like Castle Black, bro. Why
I know.
Stay there.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm massaging the hell out that ship. You hear me? Like, listen, they're gonna give us free. Everybody right now, we are wildlings. We are not about to do this. Like, we about to stand up and take over this ship. Keep on back. Like, listen.
Also, you know, shout out to what she just said, though. If you've never seen the movie Amistad, damn it, go fucking watch that shit.
Right. Okay. Watch Amistad and then watch Black Panther.
And then watch
talking about.
Look,
and then watch Django. And then watch Roots. And then see what I'm talking about. Like, no, you're all those together in that order. You'll be like, oh, I understand where she's going with it.
I absolutely am not refuting that thought at all. I know it's stupid and ridiculous. I know. There's no defense. No, there's no defense. No, you're totally right.
I don't know. I'm
You're totally right. You're totally right. I am not refuting that at all.
They feeling like,
And you said one time you should not bend the knee. You're not, and the wildlings won't. Eventually, they're going to get the fuck out of there. It's horrible. It's a horrible situation. It's just it's like being, you know, as they say, you know, half a dozen in one hand, you know, six in the other. It's all bad all the fuck around.
man, listen, bro. We made it all the way from the north to here. We done fought them and won.
And they're away, and they're gonna get away again.
So we ain't finna get on those ships. That's how we got here. Listen, black people, if anybody starts handing out free cruises or anything like that, because the world is getting crazy, you say no. All these like $199 cruises, just ask yourself, what would the ancestors say about this $200 cruise? Where will this $200 cruise get me? And I think that the wildlings were smart enough to do that. Some of them just got gypped with the gyp because they were scared, but the ones that didn't, yeah, because some of them ran off to go be with Bone Guy.
Lord of Bones.
Yeah, so that would be Brittany. That would be me. I guess I just ran back north. Like, I'm gonna fight ice zombies. I can't.
No, you're right. I think they, you know, there is a large amount of them that would, you know, if either fight and die before getting on the ship, or, you know, just run off, or, you know, once they get on the ship, they would take that shit over because wildlings don't bend the knee. I know. I'm totally not refuting anything you said. You know, from jump, I said, yeah, it's a fucked up thought. But I think the wildlings are resilient enough that they would be able to flip that shit and turn it to their advantage.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be for the kneeling, for one. No, they would not be for that. Two, even if you got whips and whatnots, yeah, you're not going to control a wildling in any way, shape, or form. Excuse me. They might just play their cards for as long as they have to until they wreck shop. It's what they do. I totally understand. Again, I'm not refuting anything you said. You're 100% right. It's just it really is just looking at the logistics. But like you said, and I do agree again, they would not be just letting themselves be slaves. It wouldn't work out. But they would use the shit to their advantage and take that ship and probably go someplace else other than Essos. Or, I mean, there's not a whole lot of places to go other than Essos, but they could avoid the slave trade if they played it right with the sales and whatnots.
Naro, can you highlight Sam's comment and then AU's comment?
Which one?
That one, yeah, right there. They have their own version of the Long Night and may very well believe and support their God.
There's a few versions of the Long Night out there, isn't it? Like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, everybody's got their own little version of the Long Night.
Like there's Harkon. Was it Harkon the hero? Edric Shadow Chaser.
Like the Blood Prince or something like that over in UT or something. Everybody has some sort of, that's where the 5 forts come from. Like everybody has.
Yeah, the 5 forts. You know what? The first person that I heard talking about the 5 forts was Quinn.
Yeah.
And I fully supported everything he said in that video, because why isn't anyone talking about the 5 forts? There's a lot of extracurricular shit, I think, that's there to be learned. Just like the freaking city of Yeen. There is a whole lot of things to be learned from that. So it's arguably, to me, and this is on a slight tangent from what Sam said about, you know, everyone in Essos having their own version of the Long Night. Yeen is in Sothoryos, and this it from some of the fan art. I don't think there's like actual, you know, sponsored art for the fandom that's canon, but from how it's been read in the books and interpreted by a lot of fan art, the huge building structure that's there almost resembles the pyramids that is it Marine where Danny's staying in one of those pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
The shape of it and how it's been drawn out reminds me of one of those. And I think it's something like several thousand feet, or maybe it's a couple miles, that nothing grows around in like a huge ass circle around that building, that even though it probably should be in disrepair, is just still standing there strong as hell, and no one knows why or what happened there. But it's found out that the jungle is even too afraid to grow too close to that damn building. I feel like that island, Sothoros, that was like the Isle of Dr. Moreau that the old school Valerians did experiments on to create like shit like wyverns and the brindled men, and possibly some of these tiger people that are walking around with actual animalistic eyes and tiger tails and shit. It's extra and it's random, and there's too many things that George has put in these histories for me to not ask questions and want to know every tidbit about those damn cultures, so I can see how we got to where the hell we got in this story.
Like contact. Okay. So, I mean, we've been on for an hour and a half, so I don't want to like kill you guys, but unless y'all have more questions or you want to keep going. Yeah, and Naro's going in and out. So, yeah. Does anyone have any other questions before we just wrap it all up? Are you suggesting that the children of the forest may come from soul throats? Oh, Sam.
Thoros? No. I don't think the children of the forest are an experiment. They were there long before everything. Way back in the day, before any other species was really thriving or growing, there were the children and the giants. And that's it. Granted, I do think some of them could still be in Essos in the form of like the Jogasnai, and I forgot what their female faction is called. There's a Jogasnai who is typically all of the males in that species. They're all very short of stature, just like the children of the forest. There's another group that's females. I don't remember what they're specifically called, but they also do have a clause that, like, if someone wants to be in the opposite group that their originally born sex is in, they just have to live like if a woman wants to be a Jogasnai, they have to actually dress and live the life of a Jogasnai male, and vice versa, which I think is a cool little tidbit that George put in. So kudos to that. But I don't think the children were an experiment at all. I think when the world was very new, as they said, the dawn of ages, the children were it. They were the first inhabitants, along with the giants and the white lions, and possibly the unicorns, the dragons. It's evidence that there were sea dragons and other dragons about. Let's see. There was something else that I'm forgetting right now. Oh, dinosaurs. George has confirmed that dinosaurs were a thing on Planetos.
Cool.
So, like, think about that shit. There's a whole lot of extracurricular history, and yeah, Sam said the direwolves too. Yeah, they used to be very abundant and rampant all around Westeros. So, yeah, that's it. And I think we're probably done because Monero's internet has finally crapped out. She said it was acting up. So let's go ahead and wrap it up, B, before YouTube kicks us since our host is gone.
Right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And I don't know what we're going to do after this. I guess probably nothing. But if so inclined and I can't sleep, I might just get up and read the theory into the camera, because I think that's a better idea now because of COVID. Instead of trying to do a whole video, I could just wait, I guess, and live stream with you guys whenever you're available. So I might just do that in the morning and the night.
It's only 10:40. Honestly, I ain't doing shit for like another several hours. I'm probably gonna go see if anyone's doing any drunken rambling streams.
Really? Is that what everybody's doing? Are you guys all about to just like?
I'm chilling.
And
I mean, if y'all are down and you want to continue some random tinfoil talk, put it in the chat right now. Oh, there she goes, and she's back. Put it in the chat right now, though. If y'all do want to continue, I'll start up some stuff on my channel, and we can just shoot the shit for another half hour or hour or so, however long Lady D has to chill.
We can. I wanted to invite you guys to mine so that I could just do the video. It would basically be my theory, and I would like your input. That's the thing. I would have just read it. That way I don't have to produce an actual video. Because it's feeling good right now, and I feel like if I just read it, that'll be cool. It breaks in the middle. You know how like Radio Westeros does? Like they'll read the script and then they'll talk about it, and then they'll read it and they'll talk about it. Like that would be cool. So I'd like to do that because I feel good. And if you would like to do that, now if you wouldn't mind joining, that'd be great. If you can, do you feel like it? We were talking about this after, but go ahead.
I have no issues. No issues.
All right. Okay. So since your interwebs are random finicky, I'll go ahead and set it up on mine, and I'll start it up. And B, you can just come on and read through your theory, and we'll wax poetic about it in the chats and see what everyone has to say. And if there are any other tinfoil questions that come up and we're still up for it, then we can tackle those.
All right. Is there any way to download off your channel?
I can't hear you. What'd you say? Speak up a little bit.
Is there any way to download off your channel? We can talk about logistics later.
I can download it and send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's do that and then put it on my channel. That would be so fun. I want to do this. I don't want to make more videos with slides. I'm tired of it. It takes days. It's so much work. No one else does that. Why do I have to have slides and the freaking maps? No one else does that.
Yeah, actually, no. There's some people that do.
They do? Well, yes. I'm just tired of doing it.
All right. So, Nancy, yes, good night. Plexi, looks like you might not be feeling good, so thank you for coming in. Everyone, thank you all for joining us. Give me like 5 minutes or so, and I will start up another stream. The ladies will join me for as long as they feel like being up and chit-chatting. And we'll see y'all in a little bit. All right, so head over to my channel. We starting soon.
Head over to
Narrow, hit that end.
Over to AK's channel. Head over to AK's channel.
Are we ending?
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, like I'm sorry. You will be here with the whole AK channel dance.
But listen, what y'all not understanding is I keep going in and out, and y'all are probably talking, and I don't hear anything that y'all saying because y'all are frozen. So if y'all said anything within the last like 5 minutes, I didn't hear a word.
Okay, so we're gonna end this and then jump over to my channel, and I'm gonna send y'all the link.
Sorry about that, y'all. My internet feels like going to Dunkin' Donuts and getting some Jamocha fudge. So it's ready to tap out. So we'll see y'all over on AK. Thank you for coming through, and see y'all in a few minutes.
Peace.